Welcome back. Here with us on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. Let's get you the latest update from Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan president has survived the watered-down version of no confidence vote on the first day of reconvening of the parliament. In fact, the island nation continues to reel under the severe crunch of essential goods. The country is facing severe petrol shortage. Daily power cuts in Sri Lanka may also rise to 15 hours per day. People continue to stand in long queues for fuel, and there's scarcity of milk and gas, among other things. Let's straight away go across to Padma Rao, who is joining us live from Sri Lanka, from Colombo. Good evening, Padma. Thank you for joining us live this evening. Could you help us understand how the situation is for the people of Sri Lanka? Yesterday, we got to know that now there is hardly any stock of fuel, hardly any stock of petrol even left for the people there.
Yes, we've been, riding through Sri Lanka, Colombo most of the day today, and we've been to all kinds of, areas in Colombo where people are not so well off, where they're daily wagers, and those people have been coming into the more affluent parts of Colombo in search of gas, in search of petrol. Petrol lines have stretched into 2 to sometimes even 4 kilometers, and gas, people have been, queuing up outside gas stations repeatedly. I speak of LP gas, liquefied gas, which is used for cooking. And people have just been queuing up on the basis of hearsay, with their cylinders. Grandmothers of 75 years, 85 years, they've just been sitting there patiently in the heat with their cylinders, only to find day after day for the last 5 days that there is no gas. But there is some good news this evening. Yesterday, the Gas of Lanka had said that they need $7 million, which are to be paid today, to release 2 shipments of liquefied petroleum gas, LPG. These ships were waiting in the harbour, which is just behind me. You can see it vaguely in the distance. And these ships have been released today. They have been paid. So 2,800 metric tons of gas will be unloaded from each vessel. First, the one and then the other. So that's a total of 5,600 metric tons of LPG. And 80,000 cylinders will be distributed daily from tomorrow. That's the latest news. But please remember, this is a country of 22 million citizens, so it's really a question of how long that lasts. And what we've also heard is that there are all the usual stories that the gas stations are, gas services are, there's a lot of favoritism going on. Some people are getting more, some people are getting less. There's all that usual chaos. Now, the other bad situation is as far as petrol is concerned. We stood along with auto rickshaw drivers in extremely long queues, and again, they had to finally push their vehicles home when they were told after waiting for 5 to 6 hours that there was no petrol left, and which Prime Minister had announced yesterday anyway that there will be no petrol today. So they had stocks for petrol only for today.
So you're saying that people have to wait in front of a fuel station for at least 5 to 6 hours. Did you also have to face those kind of problems?
I'm not
and what
sure
happens tomorrow then? What is the plan B? Padma, can you hear me? Could you also explain to us the problems you had to face? Okay, we'll try and reconnect with Padma in just a bit. Meanwhile, joining us on the broadcast is Dr. Kavinda Heshan Jayawardena, MP from Sri Lanka, on the broadcast. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now, Dr. Jayawardena. No confidence motion against Sri Lankan leader has failed in the parliament. What happens next? What is going to be the plan from here on with Ranil Wickremesinghe being the Prime Minister?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me today. What we have to understand that Honorable Prime Minister, newly appointed Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe, is a one-party parliamentarian who's representing United National Party. At the same time, now he has joined with the former government, that is Rajapaksa regime, mainly, I think, to look into the economical crisis what the country is facing. But unfortunately, what the people in this country are facing is, as very clearly your colleague said, that fuel shortage, medicine, food essentials, and LPG gas. And the issue what we are facing right now, just because there is a new prime minister, the people's frustration is not going to get over overnight, because people have been fighting for almost 2 months asking Rajapaksa to step down, especially Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the president. So the tagline has been Gota go home. So in Golface Green, people have been protesting very peacefully for last 40 days plus. But unfortunately, the former Prime Minister, at that time, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, the president's brother, he instigated a set of mobs to go and attack the peaceful protesters. That led to a huge mob where people in this country started burning politicians' houses. One of the parliamentarians has lost his life. So the struggle continues. Yet we have almost run out of foreign reserves, mainly due to the decisions what the government made. This government came into power in 2019. Gotabaya Rajapaksa got 6.9 million mandate, where he wanted to satisfy his friends who are billionaires. So he cut down all the taxes, which are VAT, NBT, withholding, plus all the taxes which is beneficial for the upper class or the hierarchy of business community in the country. So that led to the cut down of government income almost half. So the country's income was around 2,000 billion rupees in a year. That went down to 1,000 billion. Right. So the government, what they did was they printed 3
Dr.
trillion
Kavinda, you
Sri Lankan
are a
rupees.
member of parliament in Sri Lanka. Is, your party going to support the new prime minister? Do you have confidence in him? What is the plan of other political parties now? Or are you still waiting for the president to resign and then only things can get better from here?
No, we strongly urge the president to...
Okay, we'll quickly try and reconnect with Dr. Kavinda. There is some network problem out there. The member of Parliament from Sri Lanka speaking to Mirror Now. Meanwhile, let me go back to Padma Rao, who's back with us on the broadcast, reporting live from Colombo this evening. Padma, I was trying to understand from you. So, you're telling us that people have to wait for at least 5 to 6 hours in front of a fuel station to get fuel. Did you also have to face these kind of problems? And what next? What happens tomorrow?
Well, the problems that we face, really we are the privileged people, as many people are in Colombo 3 and Colombo 7 and in the heart of Colombo. In fact, I would say that while I admire the young activists who have been staking out for the last 2 months on the Golface, calling for the president's resignation, the real need that we noticed today and that we felt was out on the streets of Colombo, where there are many, many people, hundreds and thousands of people who simply don't have the time to protest because they queue up at 5 o'clock in the morning to wait with their gas cylinder, 75-year-old grandmothers. I'm not sure if you caught what I said earlier. There is a bit of good news that 2 shipments of LPG gas have been cleared. They were waiting here in the harbour for payment. That payment has been made, and 2,800 metric tons of LPG will be unloaded from one ship tomorrow, and from tomorrow they will start distributing 80,000 cylinders. But again, even in the gas lines, there are the usual complaints that people are saying that some people get sort of preferential behavior and get 2 cylinders and 3 cylinders. So all those problems are there. And as far as petrol is concerned, there is absolutely no petrol. All the pumps went dry today. So I think we are still very privileged because we can afford to pay higher prices. But there are people who just cannot afford to pay those prices, and their work has come to a standstill. Their livelihoods have come to a standstill. And as the other speaker was saying, I'm not sure how long their patience is going to last. But one thing I'd like to say is that I think the Parliament of Sri Lanka has to get its act together and stop indulging in procedural debates and get on with it, because somebody has to negotiate with the IMF, somebody has to launch that discussion, and somebody has to make sure that the people on the street, that their suffering is mitigated first of all. All political discussion and debate can certainly happen later.
Absolutely. The focus has to be to ensure that people of Sri Lanka do not have to face any more hardships. Padma Rao, appreciate you joining us with all of those details. Padma reporting live from Colombo this evening for Mirror Now. Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena is also back with us on the broadcast. Yes, Dr. Jayawardena, very quickly, I want to understand from you, is your party and other political parties, other MPs supporting the new Prime Minister? What next?
Yeah, we have pledged our support in terms of any decisions that the Prime Minister is going to take in terms of bringing back the country's economy back to its feet. So right now, we have been discussing with IMF, World Bank, and we must be very thankful to India. If it wasn't for India, we won't be having electricity or fuel at this moment, at this current second, while I'm talking to you all. So we have been, we have got over 400,000 metric tons worth of fuel from India. So we are very grateful to the people of India and the government of India. And the Tamil Nadu government has allocated over 28 crore worth of medicine, essential medicines, and even food. So we are very grateful.
Right.
At the same time, the Japanese and the Americans, they also have pledged support to Sri Lanka. So we are expecting the international community to help us. Even though we are in the opposition, we want to be a part of how we could contribute to the country's current situation. So we have been discussing with the EU Parliament. So I think most probably coming days will be even more tougher for Sri Lanka, but I think we can somehow face the economical crisis that what we are facing right now.
All right, Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena, appreciate you joining us here on Mirror Now on Urban Debate this evening. With this, it's a wrap. Thank you very much for staying with us here on Urban Debate.